My name is Lillian, and you're watching and listening to the Community Leaders Podcast.
What's up? It's your boy Los LOS for the Community Leaders Podcast, and it's a special day. We have a special guest in front of us, and she goes by the name of Lillian Holden. What's up, Lillian?
What's up, Los? Good to be here.
Man, it's good to have you here on the pod. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I do all things nature. One of those things, I'm currently the Regional Water Trails Manager at a local conservation nonprofit called Open Lands. I am a field guide for a grassroots nonprofit based on the west side called Earth Remedies. And so I take young kids out to learn about birds,
Okay,
to observe, and everything else nature related. And yeah.
Awesome. So for your job, what do you do actually for your job? Not the nature one, where you're showing the kids the birds and whatnot, which is pretty cool. We're gonna talk about that. So your first job, what do you actually do?
Yeah, so as the Regional Water Trails Manager, I connect people to Illinois waterways through a myriad of ways. So one of those things is to open space development, so that people can have access to the waterways. Then there is aquatic ecology, so like covering topics that relate to water science and to some items that you can find in water that can determine water quality. Next, there is, of course, community engagement, so connecting people to the landscape, engaging people so that they feel so that they are represented in the space and that they're connected in the space when it comes to heritage. And then lastly, paddling recreation. So I get people on the water paddling and learning about history that's local to their community area. And so those are the top things that I've been doing when it comes to that particular role. A lot of emails.
So the emails, yeah, I get those too. So I'm interested now in what you said. So you put people on the river and they paddle boat?
Yeah, so we get people out paddling on. So currently, my job, a priority area of ours is the Little Calumet River, which is closer to the south branch of the Chicago River, so further down. So it's not associated with the South Branch; it's its own, but it's a part of Illinois waterways, but it's further down if you know the South Branch of the Chicago River.
Okay,
and so the Little Calumet River has historically been neglected, polluted, divested. And so what we have been doing is we've worked to remediate the space. And so we work to remediate the waterway to essentially to cure it from the pollution that had been in the river over decades of time. And so we're getting people on the river, paddling and learning about history. So yeah, long story short, yes.
That's cool. I think I would like to do that.
It's fun.
It sounds pretty dope.
Yeah.
So you're part of CLF.
I am.
You're a cohort of, is it 2024 or 2025? 24.
We're considered 25.
You consider 25?
25.
Okay, but you started in kind of 24.
Yeah, August 24.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you like it? How do you like being a part of the cohort?
I love it. The experience has really shifted my understanding of myself and then understanding of my community. My cohort members, they come from different backgrounds and different expertise areas. And with that, there's always something new to learn. And so it's a really great experience. And CLF also nurtures us and encourages us to be ourselves and to acknowledge the power in our individuality, and because that is really what pushes that can push community work, because you're walking in integrity. Cool.
So you've been to many classes and sessions. What has been one of your favorite sessions that you had with CLF?
So we recently had a session about asset mapping in which Aaron I'm gonna say Aaron Brown for now. But so Aaron Brown, he's the District 5 of the school board, District 5 school board. And so Aaron came and talked about asset mapping and how asset mapping had helped with an initiative at Dwight High School because Dwight at the time was was threatened to be closed, and so they through a hunger strike they were able to save the area, the school.
Okay.
And so school closures are a huge thing in Chicago, but I mentioned that as one of my favorite sessions because it was really insightful the way he orates. He's a very strong public speaker, and he also is a very strong storyteller. And so I was able to take a lot of knowledge around the changes in Chicago through his experiences, because he's an elder. And he's also he's been around for a while. He's seen Chicago in different states, and he's seen the Black community in different states. And so I enjoyed that it connected to me spiritually and like with my heritage.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's get down to who you are. So you're from the west side of Chicago, correct?
Yeah, it's West Side, Best Side.
West side to best side. That's right.
West Side.
I hear that a lot with CLF.
We're always that's the motto. You know, if you don't hear 290, you're gonna hear West Side, Best Side, or you're gonna hear West Side, Illinois.
Okay. All right. All right. So you went to grammar school there and college there, or you went somewhere else for college and high school?
So for high school, I went to Westinghouse, which is and on the west side, and Westinghouse is a selective enrollment school that also has college to career programs. So I went to Westinghouse, and then for school, actually, so I went to Harold Washington for college, and then transferred to UIC.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So let's get to know you a little bit better now. Let's go back to the past.
Okay,
let's go back to the past.
Let's do it.
10 years old. Who was Lillian? You can remember that little girl. Who was she?
Snaggletooth.
A snaggletooth.
Maybe that's younger, actually. Maybe that was like 6. I don't know. I was like 10 years old. I was like a chipmunk, chubby, cheap child. I don't know. Yeah. I really enjoyed playing my Nintendo DS. I had a couple games. I had it was a Lemony Snicket game. It was a mystery game. And then there was a game, a language game.
Okay.
I had a language game. And then there was, I think I had Cookie Mama.
Tell me about Cookie Mama. I think I remember that one.
Yeah,
what did that do?
It's cooking meals. It's very, it was very, I think because even now I enjoy cooking. I like baking. And so I think it's one of those games. If you like baking, you'll love it because you get to make all types of food from different types of different cuisine styles, but mostly Asian because it was I think Cookie Mama's is Japanese. No, either Japanese or Korean. And so yeah, that was my favorite game. It was just simple. I didn't because I'm not really good with games that you have to shoot or you have to chase people, and my siblings would like play those games, and so I'm like, it would freak me out. So Cookie Mama was my thing because it wasn't like making me like scream on the inside or fearful of like getting beat up.
All right.
Yeah, so I don't know. It just yeah.
I think I remember Cookie Mama, but I think I got that from my daughter.
Yeah, it's a good game.
Yeah, I think I got it from my daughter because it stood away from the violence.
Exactly.
Yeah, the games I was playing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, pretty much a happy kid?
I would say so. Yeah. Yeah. We would. So, I'm just recalling. That's why I'm pausing. But
it's okay.
Man, that's a good age. Yeah, I think my family and I, we did a lot of things like going to the movies, going to the park, going to the beach. I have fond memories riding my bicycle, playing with my siblings, fighting with my siblings. So very like, I think I had like, for the most part, 10 was like easy breezy. It was chill.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you mentioned siblings. How many siblings do you have?
I have 6 siblings, same mom and dad, and then I have 2 siblings with a different mom.
Okay.
And so the 6 of us grew up together. And so we were taught to always stick together. And so that's something as I gotten older, I really appreciate my dad and my mom being intentional around cultivating strong relationships with one another. And because as I've gotten older, I've realized that my siblings are my best friend and also my siblings, you know? And also like with my siblings, I'm able to like I don't know. You could just like be. I don't know. When you're close to your siblings, you could be you could be wacky, you could be crazy, you could be serious, you could be everything. Yeah.
So 6 siblings. That's a lot of brothers and sisters. How many sisters? How many brothers?
So there is. I'm thinking in my brain. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
So 4 girls, 3 boys.
4 girls, 3 boys. That's pretty good. That's almost a Brady Bunch there going on. Yeah. Awesome. Did you guys watch the Brady Bunch together?
We didn't watch the Brady Bunch together, but it was something that I watched, but not together.
Together? Okay.
I don't think I did my math right for some reason when I said 4 siblings and 3.
Well, it was 3 boys and 3 girls in the Brady Bunch. Yeah. So almost. Yeah. You guys actually had more.
Yeah. I guess so. I included my other brother.
Okay.
Because 6 of us, but then with the same mom and dad, and then I have a older brother who has a different mom, and then an older sister with a different mom.
Awesome.
So
mom and dad in the same house with you?
Yeah, same house.
Awesome. Are you still together?
Yeah, they are. They've been married for 20 plus years. My dad met my mom when they were in high school. They met at the Taste of Chicago.
Okay.
And so they've been thick as thieves since then.
So you got a little history on your parents. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We met at the Taste of Chicago. Did they talk about, did they eat the big turkey?
They probably did. I have no idea. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was 10 years old. Lots of family, lots of running around, lots of playing with your brothers and sisters, and lots of arguments. I could just see it because it was only 3 of us and we argued. I could imagine 6 or 7 or 8. How was it when you got to be a teenager? Let's take you to when you were 15 years old.
Being a teenager was a bit more complicated.
Which is always is.
Right.
15. It's 15.
Yeah.
We're going through our changes and whatnot.
Yeah.
So what did that look like for you?
It was definitely like a harsh transition coming from just like the simplicity of enjoying simple things as a preteen. I think preteen was just like, Barbies, life size, trash talking with my siblings, cool. But I think the older I got, the more I was just like trying to understand myself. And also like my teens were really complicated because I was struggling with, I would just say like childhood obesity. And so that's something that I don't really talk about often, honestly, but it's something that I think was a huge theme in my, so I would say throughout high school, I'm just trying to think, it started.
Well, I just want to let you know that I just met you maybe a month ago.
Yeah.
And I think you're beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I think you're gorgeous, and I think there's a person out there that's going to think the same. And maybe not just a person, maybe a lot of persons. Because you are all that, okay?
Thank you.
All right.
My inner child is just like super happy right now. But and I mention it because as a young person, we're flooded with insecurities, and so having an insecurity in your body as a normal size young person is the norm. But when you think about having insecurity in your body as a borderline morbidly obese young person, that is intensified. And growing up on the West Side, my family didn't have necessarily good food eating practices. We grew up on fried food, pork chops, spaghetti, and
sound like a Puerto Rican family.
there's some parallels for sure. Yeah, and so actually, this is something I'm really proud of to talk about too, because there was a point where I wanted to just not feel the way I felt around my body and those associations. And I just remember journaling a lot about it and being like, what can I do? And so I had a really like intense like phase of like going hard on working out. And I joined the soccer team I joined the soccer team my sophomore year of high school. And so the soccer team helped me acclimate to long distance running. And then also the coach at the time, had Coach Alex. Coach Alex was like super great. And he would like, either he would be running with me or he'll have like someone like, staying in the back with me. Cause I was one of the 2 slower girls. But it was just like a very healthy environment for me to work out and to feel encouraged. And grammar school, I didn't necessarily feel encouraged to work out. I felt awkward working out because I was a bigger girl, and I don't think in the adults in the area like they have preference towards the more athletic students. And so high school, having like someone that can be like, oh, I see this young child has a desire, and then they taking that and providing a space for it meant a lot. And so I love soccer. I've always loved soccer, but I think I love soccer even more because what it offered me an opportunity to get in touch with my health and well-being, and then also to influence my parents. I started to eat healthier. I wanted to eat healthier, and my mom was so used to cooking certain foods. My mom would like
she cooking that good food. She was cooking that good food.
She was putting her elbow in that. No, for real. I grew up on meals, which is like, I don't know. I think growing up on meals is kind of, I'm a foodie. I like good tasting food. It's a problem.
We don't like bland. No bland.
I need some salt and pepper. I'm
keep that mayonnaise over there.
I'm like, my blood pressure not going up, I don't want it. But no, be healthy. And so like, but I mentioned that because my mom started to cook differently. She started to steamed vegetables.
Okay.
She started to grill the chicken instead of frying it all the time. She would actually, she just started adapting to those things. And I really appreciate her for that, because she could have just been like, whatever, you're going to eat what I make. But she didn't. She actually listened to me and changed her cooking style to not just for me, but it also influenced the family. We all started eating healthier. And because most of my siblings, except for my brother Joshua, which is oddly enough one of the boys was like how do I say it? He didn't have to deal with any like weight issues. It was always just like, okay, we all had kind of like weight issues except for Josh. So he was like the lucky one.
He was a flacco.
Yeah, he was a skinny. Yeah,
he was a skinny one. Yeah.
Eat whatever you want. Yeah. So
that was me and my family until I hit my about 26, 27. And then after I ate something, I'm like, wait a second. I got to open up this belt to the other notch.
2 necks now.
I'm like, what's going on? Yeah, I was like, what is this here?
Yeah.
Okay, so obesity was an issue in your teens. But now we're in our 20s. How were you in your 20s?
My 20s were also... My 20s were great. However, I don't know how to explain it, but your 20s is like a time of trial and error. And it's a time to like make mistakes and to also like grapple with self-awareness. I think my early 20s, I was trying to figure out my footing. And I had worked in hospitality for a while, which it wasn't really fruitful for me. I didn't really feel connected to it. And so then I started to, did an AmeriCorps program, because AmeriCorps is, it's kind of like if you know Peace Corps, it's kind of like Peace Corps, but domestic.
Yeah, I know Peace Corps, AmeriCorps.
AmeriCorps, yeah. So the program that I did for AmeriCorps was called Public Allies. And I mentioned this because I think that program also was a transformational experience for me, because it provided me like that similar to like CLF, that cohort feeling, being around your peers.
Yes.
I think that's like, I think a lot of young people benefit from being in cohorts and being around peers.
Okay.
I don't know if there's like some psychology to it or anything like that, but I feel like for me, I was around like different types of people there were some people who were from Colorado, New York, there were people from Chicago, and Public Allies prioritized like social equity through the lens. So nonprofit pathways through the and supporting youth development through the lens of social justice. If that makes sense.
Okay.
And
it
so
does.
yeah. And so the Chicago, they have chapters across the nation, and the Chicago chapter, and I always like to plug this in, but the Chicago chapter was Michelle Obama was the
Come
ED.
on, somebody.
Miss Obama. She was the ED back in the 90s. And so and I think that was like a little bit before she went to law school, or in between her law school.
Okay.
But she mentioned in her book like vaguely. It was like one sentence in Becoming. I'm like, okay, it could have been like a whole like paragraph.
You were still happy to be in there.
Yeah, I need to right.
The
but
group,
like,
right?
Come on, let's give us a chapter.
Come on now.
Yeah.
One sentence?
Yeah.
Stop it.
But yeah, so my 20s My early 20s, I wouldn't trade them for the world. I would probably go back to my early 20-year-old self and just tell her, like, you got it. You're doing it. And to just, like, stay confident and to the basic stuff, to be honest. I think she just needed, like, a little bit of a pat on the back.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you probably got it from your family.
Yeah, from my older sisters. Yeah, I would say so. From my family. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It sounds like your family was pretty good. I mean, your mom she changed the way you guys were eating.
Yeah.
Because you started that. You started that for the family.
Yeah.
And she saw the need and she jumped in, and that's telling me that she thought about you, and she'll always think about you in that way to help you out in any kind of way she can.
Yeah.
How's your relationship with your father?
I'm like daddy's girl.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My dad, I would say he's always been the protector and provider in the of our family. Mm-hmm. My dad sacrificed so much for my family. And I don't know who I would be if my dad wasn't like who he is. It's kind of funny because so we always think about our parents as like superheroes, and sometimes we don't see. Sometimes like you when you start growing up, you see your parents in a more multidimensional light.
Yes.
But when you're young, and even like now, even if you see them in a more like well-rounded like light, instead of just like, you know, this is the tough cookie that can never, you know, that I don't know, not that actually, but I always saw my dad as like somebody. I don't know how to explain it. Just
you saw Superman.
Yeah, and I still do.
Yeah,
I still do, but I also see that my dad is a growing person, you know. Mm-hmm. And I think that like nowadays he comes in as like, you know, rational, and he offers wisdom.
Yeah,
he's always been that way, but it's different when it's different because
you're an adult now.
Yeah, I'm an
so
adult.
He's not trying to treat you like a child, but as a grown person, that he could have a conversation like a grown person, not like a girl, you better stop doing that. You're about to get in trouble. Yeah. More like, hey, let's talk about what's going on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And so I'm daddy's girl till the end. Love my dad. Yeah. And again, I just don't know who I would be without my dad and in my life. And he's just like, he's one of the guys, he's a guy that's very like, he's very like blunt. Mm-hmm. He's very like to the point. Mm-hmm. And then also he's very creative.
Okay.
Like he would you know, they have this thing called the furniture store in Chicago. It's like, it's probably a different name, but people just say furniture store like a lot of things. It's probably an actual name, but like you go there because they have furniture from hotels, and so they have good wood.
Yeah,
like,
it's absolutely
good stuff.
That's good stuff,
but it's ugly.
Some of it could be. I used to work for a hotel, so yeah.
Some of it. Yeah, experience some of it. But or maybe like a little outdated. That's what I say. Maybe some of it's a little outdated. But like so he would go to the furniture store and he would get things reupholstered.
Okay.
And I'm like, that's super creative. And we have something that's like, it's a cost-effective way of adding things to the space. Or like he would like, I don't know, he's just really creative in my
Gotta be creative. Yeah, 6 kids in the house. You gotta get real creative.
Yeah.
It's like that curtain's gonna be your pants for next week.
Literally. Yeah.
Awesome. So now, what space are you in now? Where are you now in life?
Now I'm in a place where I think I'm tapping into more of my power and understanding like everything I've done in my early 20s is now here. What am I going to do with it? The knowledge is here. What am I going to do with it? So I'm in a serious period of reflection all the time. And also, I think, to go back to CLF, I think that like the cohort members is such a strong group of individuals that I'm able to learn from, even if they're not giving me like a textbook, you know, learn through people's personalities, learn through how people approach things. Like, oh, that's interesting. You got your point across, and it's like, you got your point across in a way that fit the space.
Okay.
But you also did it in a way that like challenged the space, if that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah. And so I just enjoy seeing, because it's like different age ranges.
It is.
Different, yeah. And
you got from 21 all the way to 50 something.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe 60 something. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I'm inspired by a lot of the fellows, and so I think this fellowship is helping me because I've always been passionate about community work, and with my primary job, I do a lot of work on the South Side, and so CLF is an opportunity for me to get in touch with my West Side roots.
That's good.
And do community work on the West Side and get to know who are the key players, and also get to relationship build. And when it comes to nature-related topics, I want to be able to have an influence on how people are immersing themselves in nature and how our landscapes are developing to be tailored to community desires, and also just to be steward. I think that the more we're involved in our area, like I don't know, Black folks go outside. Black folks go outside for leisure and for enjoyment. My experience with engaging people in nature has been identifying things, kind of explorative, and so I want to be able to engage people in exploration, whether it be like bird watching or plant identification.
Canoeing down the stream.
Yeah, or in the lagoons.
What's that, alligator? We don't know. We had an alligator in Humboldt Park.
Yeah, I remember. It was
remember that one?
Chance,
Yeah.
Chance to go.
Yeah. That was bananas. All people from suburbs are coming down and see the alligator. It was like crazy.
This should not be here.
So cool. So your life right now is kind of where you want it to go. It sounds like you're putting yourself in places where you want to see yourself in. What's next for your career? What do you want next for your career? But I want to take this back. Let me take that back a little bit, because I was thinking about something when you were talking, and I just forgot it, but I brought it back in my brain. What kind of birds are you seeing out there?
Oh, all of the, okay. So,
what's the most popular bird other than the sparrow,
right.
or pigeon?
Right.
What's the most popular bird that you see most of the time out there?
So, there are woodpeckers.
Okay.
There's a downy woodpeckers and hairy woodpeckers. Yeah. And the downy, they're a lot small. I think sometimes woodpeckers get, like, if you think about Woody the woodpecker, he's actually a pileated woodpecker.
When you said woodpecker, I was like, I thought about Woody. I was like,
right, you think about Woody, right?
Well,
yeah.
Something like that.
It's something, yeah.
I think that was Green Acres I just did. Okay.
But we think about Woody the woodpecker, which he's technically like a pileated woodpecker, which is most commonly found in like Wisconsin or something like that. Mm-hmm. But the woodpeckers that are native to or common in our region, mm-hmm. You'll see a downy woodpecker, which is like a lot smaller than the pileated woodpecker, or you'll see like a hairy woodpecker. Mm-hmm. But the thing is that I mentioned that the woodpecker because once you see them, you can never unsee them. And I think that because they're so small and they have like, so they're, I actually don't know dimensions. I don't know the size of dimensions, but they're small. Uh-huh. But they have like a little bit of red on the back of their heads, and they have like a white shrike, like a white like little patch on the like where their back of their
back of their heads?
No, not the back of their heads. It's red on the back, so like the crest is like red. Uh-huh. The top of the head is like a little bit like a red patch, but then like their back area, it has like a long white like patch.
Okay.
And then they have like little dots too on like their on their plumage as well, which is like the plumage is also another word to say like their body or their feather bodies. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's an interesting bird you'll see. Another interesting bird is that I like to shout out is the brown-headed cowbird, because of the fun fact is like the brown-headed cowbird are known to be invasive in terms of like they kick. So they would lay eggs.
You said kick. I'm like, what kick?
Yeah. So I'll get to it.
Okay.
So what they'll do, they'll lay eggs in another bird's nest, another species nest.
They just take over somebody's nest.
Yeah,
they just move in,
and they essentially just like just like, hey, take my baby.
Wow,
just kicking the baby out. But they'll lay an egg, and then the cowbirds typically overcompete because they may need more resources than the birds that are actually like native, the species that's native in the nest. Mm-hmm. And so then the cowbird ends up essentially like eating all of the original mothers. The food that she's getting and bringing back.
And she feed it to her babies. Is that what she's doing? No.
So instead of her feeding it to her babies,
these birds squatters. These birds are squatters.
That's a good way. Basically squatters. Squatters. Yeah, they're squatting. Yeah, but the mother of the species that's originally in the nest it ends up feeding the cowbirds more than her babies.
Okay.
And so I mentioned that because I think it's really interesting in terms of like you have different bird behaviors out there. You have behaviors that are a bit like I would say as we say squatting or like a little bit of like exploitative. It's like overcompeting basically. It's overcompeting. But also it's a way of like adapting to space and also not just adapting to space, but survivalism.
Sounds like a bunch of bullies.
Yeah, they are. But they're like interesting birds because like the top of the head is brown and the rest of the body is like kind of like blackish color. And they're another bird that once you see them, you can't unsee them. But sometimes they kind of blend in because they're darker, and they can like people can assume that they're like another bird that's like a grackle because they're kind of similar in size.
Okay.
But anyway, I wanted to mention the cowbird because the cowbird is just like has that interesting fun fact to it. And then like when you have alternatively, some other birds are very cooperative and they don't overcompete that way. They actually share resources.
Right.
And so it's just like oftentimes we can learn a lot from nature on the duality of like of species and how it ties to like how duality of humans.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. Yeah, I feel you on that one. So we're talking about you. Let's get away from the cowbirds, those squatters. What do you want for you now? What are you looking for you now? In the next 5 years, where do you want to be at?
In the next 5 years, my big dream is to be more involved in the way that Chicago is driving innovative technology towards the way we use water resources.
Okay.
Lake Michigan provides us with our drinking water. Mm-hmm. However, other counties may end up relying on us for drinking water because some of their aquifers, which are like areas where kind of like underground areas where they can get water, but some of their aquifers are drying out. And so there is like this thing where we have to be thoughtful around water scarcity and what does that mean, and like having this like this huge resource that and a lot of times seems like a infinite resource, but it is a finite resource. It eventually can run out, right? Like all things. And so I want to be more involved in helping with water scarcity issues. And the Great Lakes is, or at least the Midwest, is relatively more climate resilient than other regions of the U.S. And so that means that we have to think about like how people are fleeing from possible climate refugees, like fleeing as a climate refugee to another area. And what does that mean for as I mentioned, water scarcity, but also what does that mean for just other normal resources, like animals outcompete, right? Like birds, we can outcompete, or are we going to be cooperative? And so,
wow, I've never even thought about that stuff. Wow.
Yeah, it's something that I'm interested in. It's something that I'm going to school for. I want to be. I want to go back. I want to go to school to have a master's in natural resource management, so that I can better understand like ecosystems. I understand ecosystems, but then there's like the master's degree level understanding it, right?
Okay.
And so right now, that's something that I see myself in the future. I want to work a lot more closely with entities like MWRD, which is the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District.
Thank you for breaking that down for me, because I had no idea what that was until you said it. Until you broke it down.
It's a mouthful. It's a big mouthful. Which and so I actually did a research paper on the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District, and had learned a lot about how the district has influenced the reversal of the Chicago River. And so, but at that time, it was like the 1800s. But at that time, like it wasn't even like called MWRD. It was like sanitary ship canal, something of the sorts.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
But it wasn't called MWRD. It's like things have to go through like their evolutions, right? And so, but anyway, so I would say like in the next like couple of years, I want to have a master's degree. I want to become more involved in being a stakeholder for innovative solutions towards water scarcity issues, and also being a stakeholder and helping with innovative solutions towards how more so like climate change, climate change displacement, and figuring out what does that mean for the Midwest.
Sounds like you should be running this already.
Oh, that's nice.
You should be the boss over there. That's awesome. That's amazing. So I got one more question to ask you.
Okay.
If you had a superpower, what would it be?
If I had a superpower, what would it be?
Yeah.
It would be to, I love this one because, to gather and store information. I don't know. It's like, that's really a fun thing to say. It's probably kind of boring.
It's what you want to be.
Yeah. But like super, because I think that like, I would want to use it so that like I can process information really like well, and then like also use the information for greater good. Okay. So it's so my superpower would be to like, kind of like you have,
like your brain's a supercomputer?
No, because I think that like, maybe I'll change that. I don't know. I kind of want the first one, but then also I'm like thinking about it. And I don't know. That's a tough question. Because my default was like, like telekinesis and mind reading. But
right. Going through walls.
I don't want to read people's minds.
You know what? I thought about that before, and I'm like, nah, I don't want to. Nah, I'm good.
Don't need to know it.
You're kind of weird.
Yeah.
Not at all.
This is like, what if you can't turn it off, you know? But, okay, I'll stick with my original one. It's just like to be able to like absorb information really quickly, really well.
It's like that movie, I forgot what it's called, where the guy took a pill, and then whatever he read, he knew it from front to cover, to the end of the book. It was just knowledge. Yeah. And he just became the smartest person in the world.
Yeah. Something like that.
I forget the name of the movie. I'm pretty sure someone that's watching this right now is like screaming out the name of that movie right now. Right? Mine is healing. I would love to place my hands on people and heal people.
Yeah.
I see too many people hurting out there, and I just take away those sicknesses, you know?
Yeah.
A heartache, you know, right? Small little headache. If I could just help someone out, I would love to do that.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
With me healing and you out there with the info, come on now.
Dynamic duo.
Let's go. But Lillian, I want to thank you for coming down to the Community Leaders Podcast and sharing with me today. You did a great job, and I look forward to what your future looks like.
Yeah, thank you so much for the time and the airspace. So it's been a delight.
Yeah. I can't wait to turn on TV one day and see your face there.
Thanks. Me too.